Hi, and welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy, and I'm coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, December 30th, 2022. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoy this episode. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting and crocheting to share with you all. You can find me online on Instagram at Noble Character Crafts, and you can get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I am finishing up the Make 9 2022 MAL that I'm hosting on Instagram this year and kicking off the Make 9 2023 MAL for next year. I will be announcing the final winners for the Make 9 2022 MAL on my next episode. But at the end of this episode, I'll be going over my plans for my 2023 Make 9 board, so you can stay tuned to the end of this episode if you're interested to see what I am planning and hoping to make this year or this upcoming year. I have a few finished objects to share with you all, the first of which is these beautiful socks that I knitted using some West Yorkshire Spinners yarn that was gifted to me by Emma of Potter and Bloom, and I just absolutely love how they turned out. This is in the Gingerbread colorway, which is a fingering weight yarn, and it's self-striping, as you can see here. It is 75% wool and 25% nylon. I paired it with some just plain undyed bare, also 75-25 fingering weight yarn. So I cast on 60 stitches using US 0.2 millimeter needles and did 2x1 ribbing for 20 rounds. And then just did plain stockinette for the leg. I did a slip stitch heel flap and heel turn, and in that contrast color again, and then knit again a plain foot. I did add in the slip stitch detail on the ball of the foot, as I usually do for my socks. So very similar to the slip stitch heel flap, I use the same type of pattern where I'm doing a slip one, knit one stitch across just the sole of the foot for one round, and then on the second round I just knit plain all the way around. And then it just adds a slip stitch reinforcement on the ball of my foot for my socks, because that is where I tend to wear holes in my socks most quickly. So that has really worked to prevent me from getting holes as quickly in the balls of on my socks. So that is what I did. I did a rounded toe and Kitchener the toes together, and I actually finished these on Christmas Day, so that was great. I didn't actually get to wear them on Christmas Day because I finished them right before I went to bed on Christmas Day, so it was a little bit later in the day, but that's okay. I was glad to get them done, and I really enjoyed working with this yarn throughout December. It was so much fun to see it work up, and I absolutely love how they turned out. They're so cute and fun. I love them. My next finished object is another pair of socks. I don't have these on a sock blocker because these were knit for someone who has a size women's 7.5 foot, and my sock blockers are for my feet, which are 9.5, and so I didn't want to stretch them and put them on my blockers because I didn't want them to turn out too large. But this is a pair of socks for a family friend's aunt. So if you've watched before, you've seen that I've been knitting a few different things for some of our friends, and they had asked me if I would be willing to knit a pair of socks for their aunt, and so I was glad to do that. So the nieces of this lady had picked out this yarn from my stash. I had dyed this yarn, just a one-of-a-kind dye job. I didn't write down the formula for how I dyed this yarn, but I really like how it looks knit up. I again cast on 60 stitches using US 0.2 millimeter needles and did 1x1 ribbing for 20 rounds. And then I moved into a 5x1 ribbing for the legs. And again, I did a slip stitch heel flap and heel turn. And then on the foot, I just did the ribbing at the top and left the bottom plain stockinette. Again, I did a rounded toe and Kitchener the toes together. So Yeah, those knit up a little bit more quickly than my socks normally do because I didn't have to knit the feet quite as long. It was only like about 5/8 of an inch shorter than mine according to the charts that I looked at. So it wasn't that much shorter really, but they do look a lot smaller than my socks, I think, especially I suppose because they're not on sock blocker, so they're scrunched up and they're ribbing, you know, the ribbing really cinches them into, but they do have a lot of stretch to them. I tried them on when I had finished the heels and, you know, they still fit my foot because that's the same stitch count that I use for my own socks. It's just that the foot is a bit shorter than mine. But I really love how those turned out as well. If you've watched before, you know that once in a while I get an urge to crochet a blanket, and I love making baby blankets, and so I get just a desire to crochet quite often. If I don't have any crochet that's easy to work on, I don't know, if I want a project that is relaxing, I gravitate towards crocheting a baby blanket. And that's what I did. So I worked up this baby blanket pretty quickly since the last time I recorded. And here it is. I am so happy with how it turned out. I think it's so cute. The pattern that I used for this blanket is one that I have crocheted before. It is called the Spiral Illusion Square, and the pattern is just a pattern for the square, but I just continued with the instructions in order to make it larger. The pattern is found on a website, which I will link to in the description box below. It's called crochet-instinct.com. So the designer is named Stephanie at Crochet Instinct. And I do make a modification. I did last time I made this blanket as well, made a modification, and I did the same thing this time. So when I got to a certain point, well, you get to a certain point in the blanket. Well, I guess I should start off with, you start in the middle and you're always working 4 different yarn colors at once. So you start off and you start with 4 different, so you have 4 yarn balls basically that you're managing at the beginning. And it is a little bit tricky when you're first starting because, you know, they kind of can easily get tangled around each other. But once you get it established, and it's not difficult, it's just kind of making sure that you don't tangle up your yarns. But the instructions are really clear, I think, although I'm not a great, I've crocheted for so many years that maybe I'm not a great judge of whether a pattern is really easy to understand or not, because I've been doing it for so long that if you're a beginner, maybe then it's not very easy. I'm not sure. I'm not a very good judge of that because I've been crocheting for over 20 years. So anyway, I used all worsted weight acrylic yarn in these 4 different colors. The 4 different colors that I used are, I love this yarn in Ivory. The blue is a Red Heart Super Saver Ombré in the True Blue color. The turquoise color is a Baby Bee Soft and Sleek Baby in Seafoam Marled. And then the green is Knit Picks Brava in Avocado. And I just had these 4 colors in my stash, and I had, you know, a good amount of each of them. I had the least of the turquoise color, but I just worked those 4 colors and continued on until I could get it to be as big as possible. So I continued using those until I ran out of the turquoise basically. But I did want to mention that I have made a modification to the pattern. On round 5 of the pattern, you basically start working a granny stitch pattern. But in the original pattern, it's a free pattern. So in the original pattern, she has you doing, I believe it's 2 double crochets and then chain 1 instead of 3 double crochets. So instead of 3 double crochets in each space, she has you do 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets. And I like the look of having the regular 3 double crochet cluster for the granny stitch. So that's what I prefer. So on round 5, I just start doing the regular granny stitch where I'm doing 3 double crochet stitches. I hope that makes sense. So you can kind of see, like right here, there's only 2 double crochets, and then on this corner is when it starts with 3 double crochet clusters, and then I just continued with that, and then each of the corners has 2 of those clusters with a chain 2 in between them. So anyway, like I said, I worked these until I ran out of that blue or that turquoise yarn. Where did that end? Right here. So that ended right here. I also needed to make a modification to the pattern when I did that final row, because since the original pattern is just a small square, mine was a large square, you kind of taper out your stitches when you get to the end. So basically you do crochet, you do the normal stitches until you're to the halfway mark, and then you do some decreases. So you do a half double crochet, single crochet, I think a single crochet and a slip stitch or something, just to kind of taper off your stitches at the end of the round. And then it makes it more of a square shape, or kind of evens off the edges. And then there is a row 17, which is kind of the final round on the free pattern, and I skipped that. Instead, for my border, I started with the cream color, and I did a single crochet and then chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, and then in the corners I did single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, no, chain 2, I'm sorry, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And then on the next round I used the avocado, and I just did regular granny stitches, so 3 double crochet in each space of the chain 3s on the previous round, and that's just a regular, again, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet on the corners. And then I just repeated that with the cream again and the true blue colorway, the Ombré. And then for the border, I did a new stitch to me, which was really fun. Actually, the first round of this border, you do the same exact stitch as I had already done on these previous rounds with a single crochet, chain 3. But then I used the avocado color to kind of twist it around. And I got this idea from the Knitting Dictionary, which I need to grab. So I got this idea from this book that my friend Tina had gifted to me a while back. And in here, so this is the Knitting Dictionary, it's by Montricot. And it also has some crochet in here, and there are some edging and border ideas in here. And I used this pattern right here, which is called the bicolor cable edging. And basically what you do is you are chaining 3 stitches in between each stitch on the previous round, and then you drop the yarn off your hook and kind of just wrap the yarn around the previous row. So I don't know if you can kind of tell that, but you're chaining 3 and then you're kind of wrapping it in there and grabbing it and bringing it around to the other side. I'm probably not explaining that well, but maybe if you're familiar with crochet, or even not, maybe you can just kind of tell what I did. So basically you're making a chain. I made a chain with the green yarn, and I was wrapping it around the cream yarn as I went along. But that meant I had to take my hook off of the yarn in between each wrap and reinsert it and pull it through and chain 3 more. So it was a little bit fiddly because you had to keep taking the yarn on and off of the hook, but I really love how it turned out. I think it's super cute. So that worked out really well, and I think it lays really nicely. When I first did it, it was the corners were curling up a bit, but I just gave it a steam block with my iron, which I like to do with acrylic projects because it really just does a nice job. So basically I just put my iron on the steam setting and I hold it about 1 inch away from my project. So I do make sure not to touch the iron to the project, but I get it pretty close and give it a good steam, and it really makes a huge difference in how the stitches lay, and it helps things to block out nicely. So that's what I did with this one. So I really am so happy with how it turned out. So I believe that I'm going to be sending this off to my stepmom because she has another friend who is expecting a baby boy grandson, I believe. So I'm going to be sending this off to her. I've made several baby blankets, all boy baby blankets lately for her, but I'm so glad to do that because I just love making baby blankets, and I'm so glad that they are going to good use. So I'm glad to have that one done. I also finished the basic balaclava that I was working on for my husband. Last time I recorded, I had shown you that I had just started this one. I was down here on the ribbing. So this is a pattern by MaryAnn Davis. I have made this pattern several times. In fact, this one I was re-knitting. I had made this balaclava for my husband at the beginning of the year in January, and I had made the extra large size and it turned out too large for him. So I ripped it out and re-knit it into the large size, hoping that it would fit him better. And it does fit him better, but it's still a little bit too big for him in this chin section, which, by the way, I had shown on my last episode that I had made another one of these for a gentleman that we go to church with, and he would like me to adjust his because his face opening is a little too tight. So it's kind of the opposite problem with my husband's because it fits him really well, except this chin area is a little bit too big for my husband. It works, and he's worn it already, but it is just not quite as snug as he would like it. So I made him another one, which is right here. So this one I made in the medium size, which is really quite remarkable because my husband has a very large head. I don't remember the measurement of it, but he has to, like, if he gets a cap, like a regular baseball cap, they generally don't fit him. He has to get the kind that are, you know, able to be adjusted to a larger size, and he has to go to like the largest setting on the adjustable thing. And anyway, he just has a very large head. So I'm surprised that this medium size is what fits him the best. It is a snug fit, which he likes, which I think is, that makes sense because, you know, you don't want it to be flopping around in the wind. You want it to be a nice tight fit. I even went way down in my needle size. So the original pattern calls for you to use a US 8 5mm needle, and I used US 5 3.75mm needles. And I have a tighter gauge than the original too. The original calls for 16 stitches to 4 inches, and my gauge is 17 stitches to 4 inches. So I don't know, but actually I tried this on and it fits me really nicely too, but it has a lot of stretch to it, so it can adjust to that. Anyway, my husband prefers this one. So I think I'm going to go ahead and rip this one out again and knit it in the medium size because this just isn't really useful for anybody in our family. If it doesn't work for my husband really well, it's not going to work for anybody else. So I might as well use the yarn to make another one, which is unfortunate. It'll be the third time I've used this yarn to make this pattern. First in extra large, then large, and now I'm going to try to do it in medium. So that's okay though. So the pattern is knit from the bottom up. There is an option to do this flared neck section, or you can leave it off, and which would mean that you would start about right in this area, I think. I have always made it with the neck flare. I've made one of these for each of my 5 children, and then I've knit these for my husband and the one for the gentleman at church too. So I've made this pattern several times. And anyway, you just knit in the round all the way up. You end up putting these stitches here on hold, and then you finish with the, you know, the top of the hat part. You do some decreases to finish up the crown here, and then you go back in at the end and pick up stitches for the ribbing around the face opening. There's some short rows here in this section for the chin area, and it's a really nice design because you can wear it more like this, where only your eyes are showing and it's covering up your nose, or you can pull it down and you can just have it be like over your mouth, or you can even pull it all the way down if you're warm and it can just go underneath your chin like that. So it's nice and adjustable. Also, you know, you can easily flip it down and just wear it like a scarf if you get hot or whatever, but it's a really nice pattern. I highly recommend it. So it is worsted weight. The yarn that I used on this one was Vanna's. This is Vanna's Choice in the gray marled. Is that right? Gray marled? Let me check that. gray marble. This is the gray marble colorway, which is 92% acrylic and 8% rayon, I suppose, for those tweedy bits. And then this yarn is Red Heart Super Saver in the buff colorway. I have always, no, that's not true. The ones I made for my kids are super wash merino, but I just went with acrylic for my husband's because they need to be easily washed because, I don't know, you know, they get kind of yucky after being worn for a while. So it will be nice. He had said it would be really nice to have two so that if one needs to be washed, he'll have a second one. So I'm going to rip that gray one out again and reknit it again. Okay, two more finished objects. I had crocheted some granny squares using some cotton yarn a while ago, and I was just going through my cupboards, kind of organizing my Make 9 plans, and I found these. I had 8 little granny squares that I had crocheted up using some cotton yarn, and I had planned on, I was going to try to make a bag with them, and I decided that I didn't want to do that after all because I didn't think it was going to be very durable. Anyway, so I wanted to use them up for something, and I decided to make a couple of pot holders. So that's what I did. The yarn that I used for this is all I Love This Cotton from Hobby Lobby. The main color I used is called Parchment. So this is worsted weight 100% cotton yarn. The red I used is called Burnt Sienna. The orange is called Bruschetta. The green is Olive. And the golden color is called Gold. So I had these 8 little granny squares, and I wanted to make them into some pot holders. I thought they'd be cute, so I just stitched them together. So the original squares I had were 3 rounds, so I had ended all of them with the parchment color. And so I just stitched them together using a whip stitch. And then I did a scalloped border around the edge. So I did 7 double crochets and first I went around with a single crochet stitch around the whole edge just to kind of even it out. And then I went into a scalloped edging. So it's 7 double crochets for each of the scallops, and then just a slip stitch to attach it. And then another 7 double crochets. And then in the corners, I did 10 double crochets. I added a little loop to one corner so they could be hung. And I'll just plan on putting these in my gift basket and gifting them at some point, probably with some dishcloths that match. So I was happy to get those worked up. I used an H 5mm hook for these. Super simple, and I just think they're really cute. Okay, on to my works in progress. They're all new projects. The first one is being held in this beautiful bag that family that I have been making things for recently, they gifted this to me. They had bought it at a craft fair that they had gone to back in November. And so this piece here, I think it's probably all handmade, I would assume. Anyway, these are all little crocheted squares that are done in really fine thread. It's beautifully intricate crochet work there. I just absolutely love this so much. So it's got I'm using it as a project bag. I mean, of course, that's just what I thought of instantly when they gifted it to me. It has a nice big pocket here in the front. And then on the inside, it has a pocket on the inside too. And the lining is like this really silky navy blue material as well. So it's just such a nice project bag. In here, I am getting a head start. I had mentioned last time that I wanted to knit through my Knit Picks Felici stash. I have quite a bit of Knit Picks Felici, and I had 11 sets of 250-gram skeins, so I could make a pair of socks, 11 different pairs of socks. And I thought it would be fun just to go through the months January through November next year and work through all of that Knit Picks Felici. Then maybe in December I'll make a scrappy pair or something with the leftovers. We'll see. Anyway, I wanted to get a head start on that because In one of Kay's, of the Crazy Sock Ladies Vlogmas episodes, she had asked for suggestions on which one of her patterns she should use to knit a pair of socks, and asking which one of her patterns is your favorite. And so that got me thinking, and I have knit her pattern called Follow Your Path a couple of times, but both times they were gifted, those socks were gifted, and I really loved knitting those socks, that pattern, so much, but I hadn't ever made a pair for myself. And I was thinking about the yarn that I had picked out to knit with my Knit Picks Felici, and I was thinking I really would like to do not just a plain stockinette, but a pattern to it, and I thought that is perfect. I had forgotten all about that pattern until she asked about it in her Vlogmas episode. And so I thought I am going to do that on my next pair of socks. And I thought, perfect, I'll do it on this with this Knit Picks Felici. I actually made a pair of socks for my daughter using a different colorway, Knit Picks Felici, and knit the Follow Your Path socks for her. So I know it works well with self-striping yarn. It looks great with this pattern. Anyway, so I wanted to get them started. So the yarn that I had picked out for January is this beautiful colorway. I just love the colors in this one. It is called Mermaid Tails, and I love purple so much, so I really love this one. Now, I thought that it was interesting that this only has 5 color stripes, and I'm pretty sure that all of the other Knit Picks Felici that I have knit before has 6 color stripes. So I thought that was interesting. It has 3 shades of purple and then 2 of a bluish color. I have started them, and they're coming along pretty well so far. Here they are. So I cast on the medium size, which is a 64 stitch count on US 0 2 millimeter needles, and I did 20, I think about 20, it might be 19 rounds of the 2x2 ribbing as called for in the pattern. I think it was 19, but I wanted to start the pattern once that color striping, the purple color, had stopped, but I'm pretty sure it was close to 20. Whenever there is a color change, I have been just doing knit stitches so that I don't get any of those little purl color changes. Do you know what I mean? If you do a purl stitch, when there's a color change, then the color kind of isn't as clean of a stripe. So when I was doing the ribbing, when the color changed, I didn't do the purl stitches, I only did knit stitches. And I'm continuing that in through the body of the sock. There's several purl stitches in the actual pattern. And if I come to a color change and a purl stitch, I just knit it instead. But I absolutely love how this pattern looks. It's only a 4 round repeat for the pattern. It's very easy to memorize and super fun to work up. This is it's called a left twisted slip stitch or something like that. And she includes a video tutorial showing you how to do this stitch, but it's really very easy and super fun to work up. And I just think it is so pretty. So here it is. So here you can see the 5 color stripes, and then it's repeating already. I'm pretty sure Knit Picks Felici is usually 6 colors, so I thought that was interesting. Maybe it's changed. I haven't really studied all of these that are in my stash. I brought my bag of stash of Knit Picks Felici to show you in case you're interested in what my plans are to knit through these different colors in the next year. But anyway, I'm really loving these. I have this row counter on here that was gifted to me also from Emma of Potter and Bloom, and it is a progress keeper / row counter by Twill and Print, and I love it so much. It's so pretty. And I have picked out a contrast color to go with this, which is this beautiful greeny color, and I thought it's not a perfect match, but I thought it was a pretty contrast for the heels and probably the toes as well. This this was gifted to me by a viewer of the podcast. She gifted me a mini skein set from Knit Picks. It's a set of their Stroll, and it's something, I don't remember the name of the actual set. I'll put it right here. But I'm pretty sure that this actual color, I believe that this colorway is called Cold Stream, but I tried to look on their website, and I don't think you can just buy this colorway by itself. I think you can only get it in that mini skein set, but the mini skein set is still available if you're interested. But anyway, this is just Knit Picks Stroll, also a 75 superwash merino 25% nylon blend, which Knit Picks Felici is as well. So I think that'll be really cute for the heels. But I am really loving working on these. I am so excited about them. Oh, and I think, pretty sure that Kay is knitting the same pattern right now on that pair of socks. So that's really fun. So yeah, I'm excited about that so much. I almost forgot to show you the bag of Knit Picks Felici that I'm planning on working through, besides the mermaid tails that I've already started. For February, I've already picked out my contrast color, which is Yarn Bee Color Idol in magenta. And I'm going to be pairing it with this colorway. I don't want to take it out of the bag, but I just wanted to give you an idea. So this is going to be February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and November. So that's my plan for this year. We'll see how I do with keeping up with those each month. Okay, my next work in progress, the headband that I had made for myself that my dog ended up chewing up and I had to repair. Remember that a couple episodes ago I had showed it off. My friend Tina had seen that and said that she would really like one as well. So I am making her a headband. It's being held in this project bag that I made myself. And I am using, now if you've watched for a few episodes recently, I made a neck warmer for Tina. Oh, what am I wearing today? I always forget to tell you. I will just tell you in a second. Oh, I hate that. I always try to remember and I always forget at the top of the episode. Anyway, I made a neck warmer for my friend Tina, and I used some of this same yarn, but in a different dye lot. It's Malabrigo Rios in the Anniversario colorway. I had 2 cakes of this yarn that I got at our local thrift store, which was just a super awesome find. And they were just both so gorgeous, but not perfectly matching. And anyway, I was asking Tina what she would like for me to use for her headband, and I thought, well, I have that other cake of Malabrigos Rios in that Anniversario colorway, maybe that would work out. And yeah, she agreed that would be beautiful. So that's what I'm using. It's worsted weight, 100% superwash merino wool. I decided in my original headband that I had made for myself, I had done a 1x1 ribbing for the entirety of it. But I decided that wasn't really necessary, and I decided just to do a plain stockinette for Tina's. I am using US 5 3.75 millimeter needles again so that I get a really nice tight gauge. And I cast on 48 stitches, and I'm just knitting in the round a tube. And for mine, I knit it to equal 20 inches in length. And then I stitched the 2 ends together and kind of used a twisted stitch, like a knot type of deal. And I will do that again for hers. She tried mine on and it fit her well. So I'm just going to knit it to the same length that I did for mine and do the same connecting thing for hers as well. So anyway, this is a super simple plain stockinette stitch pattern right now. So really nice project to have when I need a project that I don't have to think about. And I absolutely love how this colorway is knitting up. It's so gorgeous. Isn't that pretty? So that's a super easy one. My last work in progress that I have to share with you is one of my Scrappy blankets. I had started the Jelly Roll blanket by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears a long time ago. I wonder when. I'm guessing at least it's been over a year since I started it. I know that. I started it in June of 2021. And I was using scraps of DK weight yarn, basically. And I had picked that up in the last couple weeks and started knitting on it some more. And I decided that I just wasn't liking it. Here is what I have of it. I had Well, here it is. This is what I have of it right now. I had actually added 3 strips and was working on the 4th strip, but I decided I didn't like it for several reasons. The main reason is that I just really think that my joining of these 2 strips together is really sloppy. I just don't like how that looks. This is the right side. The wrong side is a lot neater, but I don't know. I just wasn't liking how it was looking. It just looked really sloppy and messy to me. Kay's pattern, like her picture and her original pattern, looks so neat and tidy and lovely. She uses fingering weight yarn though, so that maybe makes a difference, and maybe her knitting is just a bit neater than mine. I don't know. I just wasn't happy with how it was working up, and you know, knitting a blanket, it just takes so much longer than crocheting a blanket. I just really prefer crocheting blankets. I do have my excavation blanket that is knitted that I really enjoy working on, but that's just such a long-term project, and I guess I don't mind that it takes so long, but I don't know, I guess in general, I don't love knitting blankets, but I love crocheting blankets. So I thought, I don't think I want to work on this anymore. I had added a little bit more to this blanket and just decided it was taking so long just to add in a little bit of yarn, and I wasn't liking how it was looking. So I've decided to rip it out. And I have started a new Scrappy blanket with this yarn, and it's crocheted and I'm loving it so much. And I am just actually working I'm pulling the yarn off of this one and knitting it or crocheting it into this blanket now. So this one, oh, I just love it so much. This one is the Chevron Granny Ripple Blanket. I followed a tutorial by Bella Coco on YouTube to learn how to do this stitch, which is so very, very, very easy and enjoyable. I love it so much. So here is what I have so far. I think it's great. I am actually using both DK weight, and I've also used a couple of worsted weight. Here are the leftovers from the first cake of Malabrigo Rios yarn that I had mentioned. So you can see this colorway is a bit brighter than the one I'm working with right now. But that's what I had left over from Tina's neck warmer that I had knitted for her. I'm using mostly 100% wool. Some of them have a little bit of nylon in them. There's some alpaca in here. I even have a little bit of cotton in here. This pink and this peachy color are cotton yarns. And they're mostly DK weight, but the Malabrigo Rios is worsted weight. And I've also put in some Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, which is also worsted weight. I cast on actually, or started the first chain with that worsted weight yarn. So I think I'm gonna use both DK and worsted weight scraps. I think that will be okay. I think it'll be just fine. You can kind of tell a difference between the stitches with the worsted weight. So here this is worsted weight compared to DK weight. You can see that the clusters are a little bit smaller in the DK weight than the worsted weight, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a big problem. So I'm using again an H 5mm hook for this project. I don't know how many I chained to start this. Almost always when I make a blanket, when I crochet a blanket and it calls for, over 100 stitches to cast on, I just cast on a really long chain and I make sure it's extra long, but I don't want to take the time to count all those stitches. And then I just make a chain so I know it's plenty big. And then once I start that first row, I just keep looking at it until I think it's about the right width, and I usually have an extra long chain at the end of my work that I'm not going to use, and so then I can just cut that off and weave, you can kind of unstitch the last few stitches. So that's what I did. So here you can see my little tail, but it was much longer, and I just cut off that yarn and I will work it in. I will work that little scrap that I had cut off into the project at some point as well. So I don't know how many I did. I just did it until it was a nice width. It's actually the same exact width as the Jelly Roll blanket. I laid it out and they're perfectly matching, but that was quite accidental. I didn't mean to do that. I was just curious to see how they compared in size, and they were exactly the same size. But anyway, I'm just loving this so much. It's so enjoyable and addictive and relaxing, and I love it so much. So that is another Scrappy blanket that I will be working on. I don't have a ton of scraps to go in this, but I have quite a few. They're in this bag that I also made myself using kind of a quilt as you go method. So I pieced these little scraps together to make this bag, and I love it. It's perfect for a Scrappy project to have this Scrappy bag on, or Scrappy project bag. Anyway, I don't know if you can see. Oh, the inside has this really cool vintage fabric on it too, which I love. Not a ton of scraps in there, but quite a few. There's some more cotton in there I'm planning on using. I have the leftovers from my headband that I'm going to work into it. So several. Here's the other color that I used in Tina's neck warmer. So I'll be putting that in eventually. So anyway, lots of little scraps in there that I'm excited to add into this blanket. All right, so those are all of my works in progress. So now I am going to go into my Make 9 plans for 2023. Oh, but first, what am I wearing? It's so ridiculous. I keep forgetting. I am wearing a sweater that I knit, I think back in 2017, maybe. I think. No, that's not right. 2019? Who cares? A while ago, a couple years ago. It is the Stone Ham Poncho pattern by Diana Walla, and I modified it to add sleeves. So I followed the pattern for the yoke basically, but I did stop it a little bit early so that I could split for sleeves. And then I just knit the sleeves straight, knit the body straight, added ribbing. I think I actually have a project page for this on my Ravelry, which I don't use anymore, but maybe I'll try to link to that in case you're curious, because I think I might have some notes in there about it. Maybe. I used all my own hand-dyed yarn in 3 different colorways. So yeah, it's knit in DK weight yarn. I really enjoy it. I think the color work in this neck and yoke is so beautiful. Okay, so my Make 9 for 2023. So if you've watched before, you know that this year I had made 2 Make 9 boards, and actually for several years I've done that. I believe, anyway, in 2021 I had also done 2 boards, I believe. Anyway, I knew when I had talked about my 2022 boards that I had really high and lofty goals that I was pretty skeptical that I would be able to meet, and I just did so terribly working on my projects this year. I only made 1 project from I had made a board all of sweaters or tops. I only made 1 tank top off of that board, and then I had a board that was all accessories, and I only made 1 pair of socks off of that board. So I did pretty poorly last year. And so for this year, for 2023, I wanted to be really realistic and make goals that I am pretty confident that I will be able to meet. So I actually took 1 project off of each of my boards from last year that I didn't finish. So I have 1 shawl and 1 cardigan that I would like to make this upcoming year. And I think that that will be doable. And then I have several other projects. I'm actually excited. I have more crochet projects on this board than knitting. And I think that's really a realistic idea too, because crocheting is just so much faster for me and very, very relaxing for me too. So, I mean, knitting is also, but I guess just lately I've really found myself gravitating to crochet when I want a bit of a break from knitting, I guess. So I'm excited about the projects that I have lined up for my Make 9 2023 board. So if you're not familiar with the Make 9 Mal that I have hosted for a few years, it is a make-along that I host over on Instagram. And it's for you to join in the Make 9 challenge, where you choose 9 projects that you would like to make throughout the year, and you can make a grid showing those projects that you would like to make. I use the app called Pick Collage, and that is just an easy app where you can make a grid easily using, their app. And it's just been really easy for me to use that program to make a grid, but I'm sure there are other apps or programs that you can use to make a grid showing 9 pictures to make one picture that you can put on Instagram. If you would like to join in the make along and you are not able to figure out how to make one of those boards, I would be more than happy to help you. Just send me an email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com, or you can message me with direct message on Instagram and let me know the 9 projects that you would like to make this year. Let me know the name of the project, the pattern name, and the designer's name. And if you have a link to the actual project page or the pattern page for that, that would be great, but you don't have to do that. I can quickly type it into Google and it usually pops up pretty easily for me to get a picture of the pattern. And I'd be more than happy to make you a board, and then I can just send it direct message to you through Instagram for you to then put onto your page on Instagram. So you can make one of those boards and include the hashtag Make92023Mal. And then every time that you post a picture showing one of those projects that you're working on as a work in progress, or if you finish one of those projects, you can post it onto Instagram using that hashtag again. And periodically throughout the year, I draw prizes for those that are participating. You're not required to finish anything on your board. It's just a participatory make along. So you don't have to be stressed about trying to get everything done or getting anything done, really. It's just to participate in the make along. So, you actually could make a board showing some long time whips that you would like to work on this year. And even if you don't finish them this year, maybe you have 9 different Scrappy blankets or something like that you want to work on this year. You can still participate and you don't have to worry about actually finishing them in 2023. You can include any craft. So I have both knitting and crochet on my Make 9 board, but if you are a cross stitcher or a spinner or a quilter, or you sew garments or anything like that, you can include any craft that you would like on your board. It can be a mixture of many different crafts, 9 different crafts if you want. And so you can include whips, as I said. So if you have works in progress, you can include those. You can include projects that you haven't started yet. It's pretty lenient in that area where it doesn't matter what you include on your board. And again, you don't have to finish anything. So I really hope that it's not a stressful make along for any of you. Sometimes people just aren't prone to want to make a Make 9 board, and I completely understand that. That's just not for some people. They just don't enjoy trying to make a plan for themselves, because then it does become a bit more stressful for them. So if it's not for you, obviously no pressure to join in, but I would love it if you would like to join in this upcoming year. I would love for you to do so. So I think that is all of the information that I have to give for the make along if you are not familiar with it yet. And every time I put description notes down below, although I did just notice today that my last video does not have description notes below it, and I'm going to fix that after I record this today, but I don't know why that is. I had listed everything when I uploaded the video, but for some reason I guess it didn't get saved. So I apologize for that. Nobody had mentioned anything about it, but I had just noticed that it wasn't, there was no description notes, but I usually always enter some just more details about the make along under each video in case you're not familiar. But I am going to go over the 9 projects that I've picked out for my Make 9 board. The first one is another crochet baby blanket. I have 3 crochet baby blankets on my board this year. Here I will insert the board for this year so that you can see the 9 different projects, and then I'll go over each one individually. So you can see I have some blankets, some socks, 1 shawl, 1 sweater, an amigurumi project, and am I forgetting anything? Oh, some dishcloths. So, okay, the first one is the Rainbow Ripple Baby Blanket, which is a beautiful and free pattern by Celeste Young. And I am planning on using up some 100% cotton I believe it's all 100% cotton. No, this one is rayon from bamboo as well. Maybe this has a mixture too. Let me double check. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. This one is 50% cotton, 50% polyester. All of these yarns are DK weight though. And so this one is Lion Brand Comfy Cotton Blend in the Chai Latte colorway. These are just all yarns that I've had in my stash for a while, and I thought they would work well together. Here's another one of that same yarn, but in the driftwood colorway. And then I have two different colorways of, I think they're both the same, yeah. Lion Brand Kobu yarn, which is the 50%, wait, are those different? Oh, a tiny bit different. That's funny. This tan one is a 50-50 blend, so 50% cotton, 50% rayon from bamboo. And the peachy colored one is 51% cotton, 49% rayon from bamboo. That's strange. Anyway, let's see, the peach color is actually called peach, and this tan color is called beige. So I have 2 cakes of these. I picked this up at the thrift store for only $1.49, I guess, for that one. Probably for both of them, I'm not sure. Anyway, and then this is left over from that tank top that I made off of my board from this year. I had made well, it doesn't matter, a pattern by Ann Vensel, a tank top pattern in that yarn. And anyway, so I have just one of the peach, 2 of those tan, and then I have these 2 big cakes. So I think that will be enough to make this blanket a good size. I'm not sure if the original pattern calls for DK weight. I'm assuming it's worsted weight, but I'm not sure. I have a copy of the pattern, but it's over there on my bed and I can't reach it. But it doesn't matter. I oftentimes adjust crochet patterns to the yarn that I'm using. I'll just adjust the hook as needed, and I'm just gonna play around with the color placement. I'm not sure how I'll lay it out, but I'm excited to try that pattern. The second thing I'm going to make is a pair of slipped stitch socks. My cousin, Allie, who I've shown before, she makes beautiful progress keepers. I've shown several of her progress keepers that she's gifted to me before. She had suggested that we did a swap recently. She has started dyeing yarn, and so she said that she wanted to dye some mini skeins and send them my way along with some more progress keepers that she had made. And then she suggested that I make us some project bags, and then we would have matching project bags and matching yarn, and we're gonna do a little sock knit along together. She just got her bag today or yesterday maybe. This fabric that I used for our project bags, I didn't have very much of it. I just had a little bit. I actually had enough to make 3 bags. So one of them is going to be in one of the final prizes for the Make 9 2022 Mal. The third bag that I made will be gifted in that. But this is the bag that I'm keeping for myself. Anyway, I just had this scrap. I believe I also picked this up at our local thrift store a long time ago, but it's so beautiful. It's just got each of the 3 bags that I made are a little bit different because of the nature of this fabric, but I think it's so beautiful. And then I just paired it with this dark denim color. And the inside fabric is this fun kind of tie-dyed material. So this is mine, and this one I'm going to be keeping my project in. And then this is the beautiful package of wonderful things that she sent my way. So I'll show you both the yarn I'm going to be using for these socks as well as some extra goodies that she sent my way. So the mini skeins that she dyed up are these 5 colors. Aren't those gorgeous? So she suggested that we make a pair of socks with a slip stitch detail. She had included in a message that she sent to me a picture that Molly of a Homespun House had posted on her Instagram showing some socks that she had knitted quite a while ago, and I remember her talking about them. She knit them a lot like, I don't have the socks that I recently showed you on my last episode. I did kind of a slip stitch pattern on a pair of socks recently, and anyway, I believe that what Molly did was whenever there was a color change, she did a knit one, slip one stitch for 2 rounds when she did a color change. So the socks that I recently made, I only did that slip stitch detail for 1 round. But anyway, my cousin Allie suggested that we do something like those socks that Molly had made. So that's what I think we're planning on doing with these beautiful mini skeins. I love them so much. I'm so excited to work on those. And then she also sent me this beautiful mini skein set from Maker's Haven that includes 4 mini skeins, and they're so beautiful. Maker's Haven doesn't dye yarn anymore, so that just makes these extra special. This is on, the colorway is called, or the set is called The Day I Turned 32. So it's on a fingering weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base. So she said we'll have to make something with these at some point too. And then she sent me a lot of beautiful progress keepers. So I just want to go over them to show you how talented my cousin is. These are kind of some duplicates that I'm going to be putting in my gift basket, basically. So you may see these come up as gifts in the future. There's this beautiful cactus, which I already have one of her cactuses, which is so cute, but any of the ones that were duplicates of ones I already have, I've decided to gift. So I'm not greedy. But anyway, here's this super cute cactus with a little star. So sweet. Here is a donut that's Christmassy with a little peppermint on it and a bow and a cute little smiley face. So sweet. A little star with a cute face. A strawberry. And a little golden ornament. So cute. So those are the ones that are going to be gifted eventually. And here are the ones I'm keeping, a lot more that I'm gifting. Okay, I think this one, well, it's hard to pick, but this is definitely one of my favorites. It is a little Christmas goodie platter. So it has a sugar cookie, peppermints, a candy cane, and a bunch of chocolate on there. It's so intricate and sweet. I love it so much. Then there's a little snowman with a scarf. He's so sweet too. I have another donut like the one I showed you, but this one is golden. And I have another ornament too, but the one I'm keeping is red. There's fuzz on it from the package. Then I have, oh, this one's adorable too. Little penguin. Oh my goodness, that's so sweet. I love it. It's sparkly too. Oh, I got another strawberry. And I got a star, like what I showed you. Oops. And then there's this super cute bee. So sweet. Little stinger. So cute. Here's a little rainbow with a heart on it. And a watermelon. And then she crocheted 2 little, this is a Progress Keeper pumpkin that she crocheted. It's so tiny and cute, and it's really super lightweight too. It's great. I love that so much. And lastly is this super adorable little wreath. That's so itty bitty. So cute. I love it so much. So thank you so much, Allie, for all of these treasures. I just love them so much. They're so sweet. I just absolutely am amazed with the talent that you have in making these cute little itty bitty things. It's so impressive to me. Okay, so anyway, that is the next item on my Make 9 board, as well as a little goodie package from my cousin. So third on my list is an amigurumi little whale that I would like to make just as a gift to put in my gift basket. I have this yarn left over from that unicorn that I made earlier this year. It is called Loops and Threads Snuggly Wuggly yarn in the baby pastel colorway. It's again a DK weight 100% acrylic yarn, and I have all of this left over, and I'm hoping that it will be enough to make one of these whales. And I just think it is so cute. The pattern is called Wallace and Wanda, and it's by Love Plus Stitch Co. And I think it's so cute, and it looks like it'll be pretty easy to work up. If I don't have enough of this yarn to make it, I may just do the belly part. Actually, I'm not really sure about the construction, but I'm thinking that it's worked in the top, from the top down. Anyway, I might have to like color block it if I run out of yarn, but I think this is a pretty good amount here. And hopefully it will be enough to make one of those cute little whales. Fourth is the classic Easy Knit Dishcloths by Carolyn Stanton. I made several of these last year, or this year, I'm sorry. I discovered this pattern this year, and I had knit several of them, but I gifted several of my dishcloths at Christmas time, and so I need to kind of restock my dishcloth little basket. I always keep a basket full of dishcloths that I can gift, and I have all of this yarn left over from those potholders that I showed you in the I Love This Cotton by Hobby Lobby. So I will be using that to work up several of that pattern. Then the Cozy Stripe Blanket by Attic 24 is number 5 on my list. And that's going to be another baby blanket that I'm just going to put in my gift basket. This is in a plastic bag that's probably going to crinkle, so I'm sorry in advance. But this is basically, I have another baby blanket that I'm going to be using up some of my stash, but I'm getting to the pretty much the end of my stash of worsted weight acrylic yarn, which is great. And this is basically, a lot of this is leftovers from the blanket that I made for my mother-in-law for Christmas, which she absolutely loved, by the way. And anyway, so I am planning on crocheting up that pattern using all of these leftovers, and it'll be super scrappy as well, but they're all, you know, a lot of neutral colors, beige, cream, browns, and then a little bit of blue as well. So probably more fitting. Well, it wouldn't really matter if it was for a boy or a girl, but it doesn't matter. That would work for either, really. So that one, I'm not really sure, you know, the color placement will be really random because I'm just using up those little bits. So we'll see how that one works out, but it looks like a really fun and easy pattern. My next project is the shawl that I have carried over from my 2022 board into my 2023 board, and that is the Heareth shawl by Claire Walls of Flossy Knitting. She has a YouTube channel, which I just adore. And I had shared this project last time I shared off my Make 9 boards at the last year or beginning of this year. I'm not sure when, but I have this whole bunch of Knit Picks palette in this beautiful colorway that I just absolutely love. It's called Oregon Coast Heather. There you can see how many beautiful colors are in this yarn when you look closely at it. It's so, I just think it's so beautiful. It reminds me of like a seashell, or I don't know. I just love it so much. The pattern calls for DK weight yarn, so I'm planning on holding this yarn double to knit that shawl. And it's a super big and cozy shawl that I'm very, very excited to knit. And so I'm hoping that I will actually get it done this year. And the next item on my board, number 7, is another project from my 2022 board. This is the cardigan that I am going to be making hopefully this year. I showed this project to you in this project bag when I shared my 2022 boards. I said I have it already in the project bag. It's ready to go. So I'm sure I'll be casting this on or starting this project really soon, and it never happened. So here the yarn is still sitting in this project bag. This project bag was gifted to me by Trisha of Oh, why can't I remember? Her tag's not on this one. Why isn't your tag on here? Trisha of... I have another project bag over there. I gotta go get it. Joy in the Stitches. Sorry, Trisha. Trisha of Joy in the Stitches gifted me this bag too, I believe, this little notions pouch. And she gifted me this beautiful butterfly project bag. I love it so much, but I haven't been able to use it in so long because this yarn's just been waiting to be worked up. So I am planning on making the Whispers cardigan, which is a crocheted cardigan by Heidi May of the Velvet Acorn. And this is, I'm planning on using Knit Picks palette for this project as well in the Calypso Heather colorway. So beautiful. And the pattern calls for you to hold it double with a silk mohair lace weight. And I have Knit Picks Aloft in the Kenai colorway. So it's not a perfect match, but I think it will go really well. So that one, again, is just ready and waiting. So I'm hopeful that that one will get done this year as well. The next project is another pair of ribbed socks, very similar to this pair that I just made. And these are actually going to be for Eva, the eldest of that family. I had made her that poncho, that crocheted poncho that I shared, I don't know, several episodes ago that I had made for her. She asked me to make her a pair of socks as well, and she picked out this yarn from my stash, so it's already caked up and ready to go, and I'm sure I'll be casting those on fairly soon. But she just wants a simple pair of ribbed socks too. This yarn, oh, I'm surprised I don't have the label in here. That's odd. Wonder where I would have put that. It should be in here. This little project bag was also gifted to me by my friend Michelle. It was made by I Heart You. Anyway, this yarn is by Molly of A Homespun House. It's from several years ago. It was a special birthday colorway that she did in the month of September. It was something about unicorns, I think. Unicorn magic or something like that. I'll have to find that tag. I'm looking down here like it's gonna appear, but I don't see it. I don't know. It's gotta be around somewhere. But anyway, another pair of socks. And then my last project is going to be the last baby blanket. And I am planning on making this pattern right here, which comes from this Leisure Arts pamphlet or leaflet called Mini Motif Baby Afghans to Crochet. It says, oh, I didn't realize that. It does have the designer. Her name is Judy Bolin. 5 Sport Weight Designs by Judy Bolin. I didn't realize they were sport weight designs, but I'm going to be using worsted weight yarn, but that doesn't matter. I do that a lot, as I mentioned. I will just probably use an H 5mm crochet hook and adjust the pattern as needed. But anyway, I think this pattern is super cool, and I'm going to be using up all of my green and gray shades of yarn that I have in my stash. So here's some grays. I have some darker grays, but not a lot of darker grays. And then I have some green colors that I'll be using up. So it will just kind of be a green and gray granny square baby blanket, basically. So that's my last project. So I'm hoping that I've been more realistic this year and that I can actually get quite a few more of these projects done. Hopefully all of them, really, but we shall see how it works out. So anyway, I hope that you all enjoyed seeing what I have planned for this upcoming year. I hope that you all will join in if you would like to. I would really love to see the different projects that you all are hoping to work on in 2023. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate that so much. I hope you all are doing really well. Take care. Oh, and Happy New Year to you all. I wish you the best in 2023. Bye-bye.